Hi, I am MedioCore at Video Games, and this video will serve as a list of the best games I played during 2021. If you haven't played these games, I strongly recommend them, and if you have played them, I strongly recommend you play them again or give them another try. Also, let's play a little game. Leave a comment right now and guess a game that you think will be on this list. Let me know if you were right after watching the video. Remember back at the end of 2020 when we thought things could only get better and the next year wouldn't be as demoralizing? But no matter how bad it got, we've always had video games. With 2021 coming to a close, civil unrest at an all-time high and my mental state at an all-time low, I thought it'd be fun to ring out this year with a top 10 list of the games I've played this year and what made them so special. Let's go in raw with number 10. This year I did a deep dive into Skyrim and it gave me a newfound appreciation for how special this game actually is. This is mainly thanks to the freedom that the player is given. Skyrim's story deals with the return of the dragons and how you, the player, is tasked with halting them. But if you want it to be, Skyrim's story can be about stealing everyone's clothes and leaving them to wander around in their undergarment. My favorite part about this game is how it handles exploration. If you want a more comfortable, streamlined experience, you're free to follow the main questline where you will automatically encounter side quests and set pieces along the way. But if you're a free soul like myself, you're just gonna go. This actually works in Skyrim's open world because not much of the map is filler. Almost every location serves a purpose. It's likely that your most memorable encounters in Skyrim are found through serendipity while you're off randomly exploring. While I do have some complaints and criticisms about this game, it still holds up well after 10 years. Even though Bethesda has not been a great company in the past few years, this game is still really special and will always hold a special place in my heart. With the tireless efforts of the modding community, it's likely that Skyrim will be a top contender in the gaming world for many years to come. Skyrim is like watching a great movie and noticing something new every time you rewatch it. If Skyrim is like watching a great movie, then Morrowind is like reading a great book. Since there's little to no voice acting, no map markers and you are completely reliant on your journal and other written text for quest information, you'll be doing a lot of reading. As such, it may not be a game for everyone. This game places a lot of emphasis on being an RPG and there has been put so much love and care into the world building. In my opinion, this is something that later entries in this series have lacked. For example, there are 3 great houses in Morrowind who all despise each other. If you join one of them, you can join the other 2. It's almost as if your actions and decisions have consequences in this game, unlike some other games I know. I have to be honest though, without certain mods, this game is almost unplayable if held to today's standards. It has aged quite a bit and not all in a good way, but if you're into Elder Scrolls lore and an RPG that is actually an RPG, check this one out, it's worth your time. I may be a little blinded by nostalgia goggles, but Rayman 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's hard to believe this series has turned 26 this year and the last entry was in 2013. Since the original creator of the Rayman series has left the gaming industry altogether, it seems likely that the series will remain dormant for quite some time. Right? Wrong. Last year, Remani comes out not swinging and almost single-handedly remastered the original Rayman while improving and building upon the original formula. This man has such a clear vision on what made the original Rayman special and also what made it bullshit. With the release of Rayman Redemption, Remani fixed almost all of the issues that plagued the OG version while going above and beyond and extending the game with new and interesting things. The game is chock full with little nods to lifelong fans of the series. For example, in the original, some levels were limited to certain consoles. The first level of Bandland looked like this on PC and PS1 respectively. It was then that Remani said, no, you and your gatekeeping Ubisoft, and he just combines the 2 levels into one. On top of that, he added a boss rush mode. He added a final boss that did not leave you with the feeling that you were cheated out of a climax. He also added an item shop, new powers, and a masochist mode. He also added this. But most importantly, he removed that fucking jump that required a frame perfect input to pull it off. Woo! What I love about this edition is that anyone can pick this game up and have fun, but if you want to see everything it has to offer, you have to get good. It's very accessible while not compromising on the challenge that is offered to players that seek a more unforgiving experience. People like Remani give me hope that there are still developers around that understand what makes certain games special. Best of all, you can download this game for free. Because he won't accept money, I'll thank Remani with a kiss on the forehead. This year, I finally got around to playing The Last of Us 2. Anyway, onto my number 7 pick. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a medieval RPG that is devoid of almost anything fantasy related. Instead, KCD ditches all of the fantasy elements you've come to expect from medieval RPGs in favor of historical accuracy.
Kurwa! Fuck!
It's set in 15th century Bohemia, where you play as Henry, a blacksmith's son living his best life in Skeleton. His village is raided by Cuban soldiers under the command of Johnny Sins, sporting a gentleman's stash. After the raid, the game is centered around Henry being in the service of a lord and he's rising through the ranks, all in purpose of defeating mustache Johnny Sins in a quest for revenge. The attention to detail is astonishing. Warhorse Studios, the studio behind this game, has a great understanding of this time period, and you can really see how they tried and managed to bring this time period to life in the game. They really have AAA studio ambitions with this game, but the problem is that they did not have a AAA studio's budget, and as a result, this game is haunted by inconsistencies in quality. At its best, it will look like this.
I'd say you made a big mistake on here.
Where's my fucking sword?
Yeah, get his ass. While at its worst, it will look like this.
Sung to a horse.
Well, then you'll have to sing something to me, too.
Two horses come roaming in the merry month of May to graze in the shade of the apple.
No. On top of that, the combat system is a little janky and the gameplay will not be for everyone. But if you can see past the inconsistencies and the technical shortcomings this game has, there's something really special waiting for you. I am a sucker for simulation games. I like how these games start to give you a sense of what it would be like to build something that you would never be able in real life. Since the prefrontal lobe of my brain never developed past the level of a 7-year-old child, my capacity for planning is almost non-existent. With that in mind, gone are my ambitions and dreams of being a city planner. Or are they? Yes. City Skylines is a very special game because you can build, manage and customize your city in great detail. The game also does not give a single fuck about the player, because it doesn't tell you what the rules are and what you need to keep an eye on. For example, if your sewage water is in the same body of water where your drinking water comes from, it will be contaminated and everyone will die a slow, painful and agonizing death. But if you can learn to play by the rules and how to appease the City Skylines gods, this game is amazing. Now this is a picture of New York City. I was kidding, it's what someone made in City Skylines with pure patience, talent, knowledge and skill. Now this is what generally happens in my cities. I have a clear plan to make a compact little manageable city where traffic can flow fast and efficiently. Now fast forward 10 hours of gameplay later and my traffic has the same flow as the pee of a middle-aged man with a swollen prostate. Still a good time though, highly recommend. Stardew Valley is one of those games I can recommend to both hardcore gamers and people who have never touched a video game in their life before. At first glance, it's a normal cute farming simulator, but taking a closer look, this game is something for everyone. Do you want to chill and just make an aesthetically pleasing farm? You can do that. Do you want to do a min-max challenge where you complete the main obstacle of the game in a year while also making a harem with everyone in town? You can also do that. Me and my girlfriend play this game together all the time. I am a big nerd with no ambitions in life other than gaming achievements, and she wants to take it slow and have a good time. Despite that, we have a lot of fun together. This game is a crowning achievement in game development and I've poured over 400 hours into it so far. Everything just clicks. It's fun, it's wholesome, it's pretty, and it's made by just one guy, who did literally everything by himself. Go check out this game or else. I am getting older. This is a sad reality, but I have to come to terms with it because I can say I was alive during a time period where Ubisoft consistently made games and titles that were actually worth your time. One of these games was the Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time trilogy, specifically the second one, Warrior Within. To show you what made the game so special, we first have to take a look at the story of the first game in the trilogy, The Sands of Time. We follow a Persian backstreet boy who is only known as Prince, a naive, young and arrogant prince who wants nothing to do more than make his father proud. Part of an invasion force, he steals the Dagger of Time, which allows him to go back in time for brief periods, but Jafar tricks him into opening the Sands of Time, which turns everyone except him and the generic love interest into sand monsters. At the end of the adventure, he uses the Dagger of Time to undo all of what he has done, and all's well that ends well. Except in the second part, it becomes clear that the prince has disrupted the timeline of time itself, and he is now relentlessly pursued by the Dahaka for 7 years. The Dahaka is the scariest motherfucker in gaming and his sole purpose is to kill the prince in order to restore the timeline. It becomes clear that the prince is now a shell of his former self. He went from being a young naive man throwing quips around to a straight edgelord. It's like going from being Sokka to being Prince Zuko, but still being the same person. But I can excuse that if this motherfucker has pursued you for 7 years trying to kill you. The only consistent trait is that he's still problematically misogynistic.
With women, you need to show them you're in charge right from the start.
Jesus.
You bitch!
I always interpreted this game as being a metaphor for going through a depressive episode. The prince is not recognizable from his early adventure and the tone is overwhelmingly dark when compared to the first game. They even use Godsmack for some of the music. His personality has changed considerably, he is consumed by negative emotion and he's going through a metal phase. If that's not depression, I do not know what is. I only have two gripes with this game. The first one being that there's a sandwraith on the island that stalks the player during his adventures and the prince is like,
"What type of dog is this?"
Later, it becomes clear that the sandwraith is actually a future version of the prince itself, which is all well and good, but then this happens. This shit pisses me off, because if the prince dies then and there, he'll never advance to the part where he becomes a sandwraith, so the sandwraith can't exist. Even after 70 years, this time Paradox still invokes me with bitter red rage. The second gripe I have with this game is how does this woman I finally got around to playing this classic Metroidvania, and the first time I picked it up, I played it for a few hours straight. It's unbelievable that this game is 24 years old and still holds up this well. I feel like this game walked so that titles like Hollow Knight could run. This game sold poorly upon release because we were just getting into the 3D realm of gaming at this point. It was 1997 and the excitement went where 3D games could be found. Titles like Tomb Raider had much more going for them than just another 2D title in this era. The timing just was not right. However, it picked up steam a little later and it achieved gold status as a result. So if you're ever in the middle of an endeavor that is frustrating because it yields no result yet, I want you to think of Symphony of the Night. Maybe your efforts will be rewarded when the time is right. Hang in there. The best part of this game is the music and how well it complements the areas you're exploring. Give this soundtrack a listen or I won't ever talk to you again. The gameplay is fantastic and still holds up quite well to this day. It was a little hard getting into it, but the power-ups helped me out greatly, which were all fairly balanced. For example, the vial did a lot of damage, but it had little range. The knives had range, but offered little in terms of damage. But then, I was infused with the power of Jesus Christmas. I found the Holy Book and all of my encounters with enemies look like this from now on. Just like in real life, the answer to everything is the Holy Book. Can I get an amen? This is the only game on my list this year that was actually released this year. Back in February, this game came out and took the world by storm. Nowadays, no one cares. But it's still a very fun experience. This game, to me, felt like a perfect mix of Dark Souls combat, Breath of the Wild exploration, Minecraft building and old school RuneScape levels of grinding. If you like any of these elements, I urge you to check this title out. Because when I play this game, I find it easy to forget time itself. No, I was kidding, I respect the timeline. It's like a nice cocktail. It has all of your favorite ingredients, but overindulgence will leave you sitting on your bathroom floor at 4 AM, covered in your own tears and other fluids. You can enjoy this game alone or have fun with the unforgiving elements and mechanics with your friends. Hey, peanut damage.
Damage, what the fuck?
I'm really curious to see how this game will do when and if it comes out of early access. Before I reveal my number one pick, I want to give an honorable mention to Euro Truck Simulator 2. I bought this game as a joke and then I played 34 hours in the first session. Help me. And now for my number one pick. It's not often that I have an emotional reaction to things happening in video games. The same cannot be said for my experience with Outer Wilds. What makes this game even more special is that I got it gifted by my friends for my 26th birthday. This game has a huge emphasis on space exploration, and despite being a pretty stoic guy, I think I have felt all of the emotions on the human spectrum while exploring the ins and outs of its galaxy. I had a dumbass smile on my face the first time I set up for space. I laughed.
Enter this place without friends, however. These are lessons to learn for yourself.
That won't be a problem in my case. I cried. I felt dread. Nope. And also outright fear. Now, before we continue, we're gonna go into small spoiler territory for the first half hour of Outer Wilds, so if you want to avoid spoilies, skip to this timestamp. Most importantly, I was confronted with human insignificance. The main mechanic in Outer Wilds is that you're stuck in a time loop and that you have 22 minutes to explore as much of the galaxy as you can. After those 22 minutes are over, the sun in your solar system goes supernova and all of the life there will be wiped out. The first time this happened, my chiseled jawline hit the fucking floor. The more information you uncover, the more you learn about how and why this is happening. After 22 minutes of exploration, the solar system is wiped out again and you have to start over, but you retain all of your information. The reason this mechanic hit me so hard is because this year has been full of tough challenges that I had to overcome, and sometimes I feel like I will never fully recover from things that have happened. When this game came along, I just felt insignificant and I realized that one day, none of my internal problems will matter anymore, so I feel like I need to make the most of what I have in front of me now and take the good with the bad. Life is always going to have its challenges, but it will also have beautiful things. While I am trying hard to cope with the things I'm struggling with, I will always be grateful for the people that I have around me. This game reminded me to look at the things I do have, instead of focusing on the things I don't have.